Alright my dudes, welcome to the fairy tale stuff. This would be, I'm gonna break down the moksha analysis, which is what those remote viewers basically saw, which is the simulation matrix of our current existence. I mean, moksha, I mean, that would be, literally translates to the freedom of samsara. Samsara is the life, death, rebirth cycle. It is the wheel of Dharma upon the Bhava chakra. I mean, everybody knows this. I mean, it is the bounding of your astral body to the material flesh to feed some biggins. Let's see, where is it? Where's the Bhava chakra? And you guys all know this. I've shown this 1,000 times. Okay, we got the Bhava chakra. This is the wheel of Dharma. Moksha is breaking the cycle so you can escape out of the wheel of Dharma, out to the Buddha realms. This is the astral world from whence you came in here before you were tricked. Well, you know, people say tricked, but you did agree to come in here. I mean, there's a fairy tale to it, basically. And then this is the predator mind, the Kamamara, the devil, Jibulon. Look, man, look, you got lured in here, all right? You know, like, if this was a fairy tale, it'd be like, once upon a time in the multiverse, your soul had a smell, had a sound. It heard the call of the siren, the song of the Kamamara, the song of the crying of souls. This noise attracted you here. You were called, like, to the web, right? We all know whose web it is. Let's bring out Spider-Man again. This is the predator mind of the architect, he who weaves the web upon the wheel of Dharma, the Milky Way galaxy of the spiral mystery, right? I mean, look, everybody on my channel already knows this. So basically, we're just getting a basic breakdown of some remote viewers talking about moksha, the liberation from samsara, from escaping the wheel of Dharma, the wheel of suffering, the wheel of necessity. You know, people really should understand what your predicament here really is. I mean, you know, people may rip on, you know, I said I wouldn't talk about this. Basically, quantum of consciousness is right. This idea that you come into this world because it is, you can level up, like, beyond imagination here because the suffering is so great. What a soul can do here and its reasoning for coming here, it would be, you know, nigh impossible in the astral realm. It is because duality and suffering causes friction, and that friction is what causes the unification of your soul. So this is a very important concept to understand. Okay, let's see. All right. Okay, well, I think I just have to do anything. I mean, should I talk a little bit more about the predicament of why you're here, or maybe the positioning of planet Earth? I mean, Earth is merely one microcosm upon this whole system, really. I mean, there's a reason why I say it's an astral body, or you coming in here being refracted in here. But I mean, that might be getting off topic. All right, dude, let's get rid of this. All right. Yeah. Okay. So you know the drill. We're trying to escape the wheel of Dharma. Alright. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I'll just react to this. Okay, for the record, this person, he deleted his video and scrubbed all, he tried to scrub it off the internet and deleted all the comments and distanced himself. He was saying, oh, why did you delete it? And then, look, man, it's because he got too close to the truth. Alright. I mean, what he said is very accurate. Okay? And I can imagine that for his own personal reasons, he tried to distance himself away from it. He'll probably say, oh, it was causing people to go into a dark place. It's because this place is a dark place. This place is the land of torment, all right? It is, I always say it, it's the place where the formation of a diamond happens. Like, you came in here as carbon to try to become a diamond. Like this idea of Greek pinnacle apotheosis.
In this video, I'm going to talk about the concept of moksha.
You know what's actually strange? In my language, moksha would be, what is it? It's the liberation of consciousness itself. Muk would be muk. That means face in my language. And sha is freedom, whatever.
This is a Sanskrit word which...
I mean, if you haven't figured out, the demiurge, whatever, is this embodiment form of what you call consciousness. So the avatar figure that's even talking to you right now is my consciousness avatar form. Like in my breakdown of existence, there's a clear distinction between the game avatar and its game urges and the higher spirit itself, the player. All right, so that's why I make a clear distinction between my higher self, which I identify as, pink elephant, and then I make a differentiation between my ego avatar and a physical consciousness form, which I would be, which you guys call me Kevin. All right, two very distinctly different things. My avatar ego has, dog shit personality. It's a dude bro, very lulzy. I mean, it is what it is. It's dictated and it's dictated by my astral chart. So, the astral chart is the formation of your aspects in alignment with the astral energies at its formation within the Milky Way galaxy as you entered into this realm in the first place. That's the whole point of your astrological chart, which is why an astral chart is very important. The higher self is something entirely different. Its motivations are beyond the understanding of consciousness itself. It resides in the unconsciousness.
Literally means the freedom or liberation from the cycle of death and rebirth.
Yeah, the liberation of freedom with the cycle of death and rebirth is the whole point of the Buddha. The Buddha is a man, right? He was never identified as a god. This is a problem with Westerners or white people or Christianity, where they want to associate the Buddha as a god, but Asians or Buddhists themselves don't believe that at all. There was a clear distinction as to why he identified as a man, to show that anybody could do it. Anybody could liberate themselves and enter to the state of nirvana on the physical plane to escape the wheel of dharma, to escape samsara. All right, and this is through the idea of non-attachment, relinquishment. To basically purify the spirit, actualize the spirit, liberate the spirit, to move on, to escape from the grasp of the Kamamara, the devil.
And I'm going to discuss real briefly about the history of this term, where it came from, and then I'm going to go into the remote viewing data that was obtained when 4 different viewers looked at this topic blind. And the amount of corroborating data between the spread of work was very high, and then some of the new information that came in through the remote viewing data that caught all of us after we had completed this project, and we did analysis and we saw what the actual target was. There's some very startling information that came out across the board on all the work. So I want to do a presentation of the work. I want to talk about what was obtained.
Okay, just so you know, I do, there is a science to remote viewing. If you were aware of Robert Monroe, he did this, all right? It is the separation of the magical etheric body, the soul, which animates the body. You're separating it out into its ethereal astral form and projecting it out so that it can view something. So usually it's given a focus, point, thought, memory, place. Robert Monroe talks about this in Journeys Out of the Body. And when it uses that focus, intent, or association of a word, a sound, a resonance, then it can view something. That's the whole point of remote viewing. It's a real thing. So,
and then just my thoughts on it after the fact.
Just so you know, Robert Monroe was like a real weirdo. He would go to his friends and just spy on them in the astral form. Like, that guy was kind of a weirdo.
So, the concept of moksha originated in the first millennium BC, and it began along the Ganges River in India, is where its origins. The Sanskrit.
That's the origins, but it goes back much further than that.
Word is, it may have gone much further back than that, but it's the first.
Dude, it goes back to the goddamn first ancient people. People got to get this out of their minds of what the ancients were. They were not goddamn cavemen, right? They were spiritually more enlightened than us, and they were technologically more advanced than us, all right? Like the pyramids all over the earth, the Atlantean structures, gateways between realms, activated stargates, I mean, the pyramids were goddamn spiritual consciousness generation machine, and it created a worldwide network, like a Wi-Fi system of a spiritual highway. I mean, even the stuff that I've heard that even at some point the planets themselves were connected through astral realm gateways, and they could freely go between the Earth, the Moon, Mars. I mean, that's why Mars is very important to them. There's a lot of stuff to Mars. And their technology was based on crystal, harmonics, cymatics, sound resonance technology of the gods, which we call the quote-unquote Anunnaki. Like, get this through your mind. I mean, a lot of our technology is vastly inferior to what they had. I mean, they had power back in the day, like the whole Indian flying Vimana things. I mean, you know, in the modern era, we think we're advanced. We are nothing compared to the times of Atlantis. And then you know, that whole flood thing happened, which is the... should I really tell you this? I mean, the flood thing was the war in heaven. The waters above, like in the Bible, that was the planet Tiamat, Tara. I mean, they whatever. I mean, it's more a fairy tale. I mean, but the flood happened because the waters above that planet got wiped out and the waters fell below onto Earth, which is why I called this planet second Earth. But people wouldn't understand the concept. I mean, this goes back so far, no one would have any recollection of this. So,
first recorded instance that we have of it. And it plays a significant role in a number of Eastern religions. It's a fundamental aspect of Buddhism, Hinduism, as well as Jainism. Buddhists believe that this freedom or this liberation from reincarnation, being born again and again.
And this has more... This isn't just in relationship to Eastern religions. This is about the origination of all religions, really. I mean, if you look at the Norse religions, Greek, Egyptian, even my religion, they're all very... Look at what a lot of people don't understand is back in the long ago of the Golden Age, right? There's a one-world civilization that you call Atlantis. Everybody was pretty much, on the path of enlightenment. What do you call the Amorites, whatever, the Vikings? I mean, you look at the architecture, like all the stuff, like all the pyramids, all the megalithic stuff built by one civilization, all right? That's Atlantis. People are always looking for Atlantis, all right? Atlantis is in the pyramids of Egypt. It is in the pyramid mounds of America. It is in the pyramids of China that they keep trying to hide. It is in the pyramids of Antarctica, all right? It is like goddamn everywhere, and in the megalithic lines. The Golden Age is almost impossible to talk about because people were basically immortal, and they didn't necessarily have to have genders, all right? This is like an impossible concept for most people to fathom. Like, these people who built these structures, they did it over the course of hundreds of years. Like, sometimes by the same tribe, or they just walked out of the material world into another realm, right? Like this idea of stargates and portals, or going through the Earth or whatever, or using it as an axis waypoint for different dimensions and planets. I mean, this is how traveling between, the galaxy really works, all right? Like this idea of a stargate using harmonic resonance
exists once you deny the existence of the permanent self and attain nirvana, state of...
Yeah, this is the denying of the permanent self to attain nirvana. That's basically realizing that, every day you're supposed to be moving and growing. You're supposed to shift and change. When you become, stagnant, or the self remains the same, then you basically become a script NPC, which is why even in the movie Groundhog's Day, he would try to shift every day that he woke up. I mean, the movie Groundhog Day is basically him escaping, the wheel, the cycle of samsara. I mean, that movie's all about moksha, if you pay attention to Bill Murray in Groundhog's Day.
Nothingness. You realize that reality is an illusion, a web or an illusion, and once you clear that fog and you see through it, you'll no longer exist and then thus be free of it.
Yeah, that's actually true. I mean, people don't realize this, but this is the denial of existence in a consciousness form in this material realm. I mean, this realm is based on order, but because of its orders, the rules, and creates a very limited focus. I mean, that's why in the outside, in the quote-unquote Buddha realms, or the chaos realms, the chaos cosmic complete, there's true diversity of what you would call being or existence. And that's why outside of here, it's all about thought and information and light beings. But here, it's about solidity, order, structure, the consciousness of the atom.
Hindus and Jainism, those who practice Jainism, have a slightly different view. Hindus believe that you're born again and again through various lives because of your acts and the karma that you accrue based on those acts.
Okay, this is technically true. People should understand that, the only law that exists is karma. So this would be the law of causality. I mean, this is mentioned in the Matrix, the Merovingian. A lot of these New Agers are people who, they just don't want to take responsibility. They'll just disregard this idea of karma entirely. But, actions have consequences, and your will, focus, desires can manifest into things. But this is your projection of your spirit reflecting back upon what the material world will manifest for you in the Matrix. And it cycles out not through just your material focus, but in your mental and spiritual manifestation. So, I mean, this is true. People should be aware of this idea of karma, but you're supposed to negate or reduce or lessen it so you can basically move on and not hold attachment to it. So
if you live a good life, you generate and accrue good karma.
Yes, this is true. So basically, look, when you die, it's like a goddamn New Game Plus video game, alright? Okay, let's see. So basically, you're in Earth realm here in the middle. So if you get good karma, oh my god, I'm dying. Oh, I meet the Lords of Karma. Hey, do you want to spend your karma points? Okay, you can go up to the astral realms, or you can use your karma points and then reincarnate into a upper white middle class family in the most powerful country, America. Ooh, wouldn't that be great? Oh, I guess I'll spend my karma and do that for my soul's lesson, and then that's how the cycling starts. Or if you quote unquote, are a bad person, you have to purge out that karma and suffering and torment in the land of sorrows, or the hungry ghost realm will get punished. But be aware, if you look at this chart, you burn karma way faster because the demiurge is feeding on it, and you gain karma way faster here. So everybody cycles back through the middle of the human realm. But the human realm is the only way to escape through the center anyways. So, I mean, this whole picture is really a projection of the Milky Way galaxy. Okay, let's keep going.
If you have a life that is filled with thievery and crime and evil acts, you accrue bad karma.
Yep, evil acts is defined by dishonesty, dishonor, or the harming of another, spirited being. So.
And that is until you're able to eradicate the bad karma, you're going to be stuck here until you do so. And the ways you do that could be through meditative techniques, increased enlightenment and knowledge. There's a number of different groups that have varying degrees and different opinions about how it's actually done.
This would be the relinquishment of, agreements, whatever. I mean, you're supposed to fulfill your agreements at best ability as possible anyways, unless the time clock has run out. You can meditate. I mean, but even if you meditate, you're supposed to focus on repentance. But repentance requires action anyways. Most people just say they repent, but they don't mean or they don't do anything. Like throwing 40 Hail Marys is not repentance. All right, like you're just getting a free pass apparently, when you should be focusing on purging your bad karma if you've done bad stuff in the past, and if you've done good stuff in the past, then you should purge that out too.
But the overall agreement is that good karma, once you have enough of that, it outweighs the bad karma, and then you'll be free, and you'll finally have achieved moksha.
Yeah, that's actually not necessarily true. So we have a ticker, like let's say, 50 bad karma points, 50 good karma points. Oh, they cancel out and equal 0. Oh, you're liberated, you're free. No, that's not true. You're supposed to reduce your karma, bad karma, from 50 to 0, and then you have 50 karma left on the right side, which is the good side, and reduce that karma, 50 good karma, to 0. So that way you relinquish everything. you lose attachment of good and bad karma. All right, then you go through the middle, which is the exit.
Is very similar to Hinduism in that.
Yeah, Jainism. I mean, Hinduism is the most ancient modern religion, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, Jainism predates it. Jainism would be like the. Isn't Jainism? It's the Upanishads. Like I read that book. So.
That they believe that you do need to get rid of bad karma to achieve moksha. They take it a step further though, and they believe that you need to get rid of and actually absolve good karma as well.
Yeah, you should do good things and then purge it out.
And they have various.
But you do these things to experience it, to learn from it, and move on.
Prescriptions on how to do that. But that it's the you have to get rid of all karma, the good and the bad.
Yep, I've talked about this before. This is the reduction of karma.
This is where Jainism falls in kind of the spectrum.
But be aware, in this game of Dharma, where the objectives are, not really known, you have to play the game to find out what it's about. If you do nothing, or you basically lose by default. Right? If this is Monopoly, you got to cycle around the board once, hit go, and don't collect $200 and just quit the game. All right. Most people get stuck on a square, or they throw a tantrum saying, "Oh, the Monopoly is rigged," which it sort of is, because you came into a game on turn 200 and there's a hotel on every single property. And even if you get a hotel, and even if you get a property, you have to pay taxes to the banker or whoever is controlling the board of the game. So, but if you realize it's rigged, that's why you should be trying to leave the game anyways.
Early Christians believed in reincarnation as well.
This is true. One of my subs, Rainbow Tomato, he's from an earlier sect of Christianity. They believe in reincarnation, which is true anyways. Reincarnation was removed from Christianity for a reason, so they can install this, you only live one life, and then it's a game for your quote-unquote soul, really, or eternal damnation, or eternal reward in heaven and paradise. Even in the Bible, what do you think the resurrection of Jesus is about, all right? Or the 3 days thing, all right? This is obvious.
Basilides of Alexandria, an early Christian teacher, around 140 to 160 AD.
Yeah, isn't that Orange and Alexander? Like, he made the argument that Christianity had reincarnation. First of all, Christianity, the books of Christianity, is a collection of books, but it comes from even much older books, all right? The most obvious one is the punishment for having sex with animals is death. That comes from a very, very old rule where basically the gods, if they this is a rule for the gods. Having sex with animals didn't mean like, banging a goat. If the gods mated with the humans, their punishment was death for creating the demigods, the giants, because they were abusing their power position. So, but there's even older stuff, even like Genesis, like when it talks about in the beginning there was the word. That's the sound of the This is the background resonance noise. They talk about the waters above. That's reflections of to Tiamat, the water planet from the long, long ago. This would have been like gold and silver age times. Then there's the books before Genesis in reference to the sucker, where we get that term from. That'd be the demiurge, the false pretender of the quote-unquote transcendent god. It is the pretender, the demiurge.
He taught that as an explanation, essentially, of why pious individuals who had a good life, who never sinned, who were really, really good, why they might be stricken with such immense poverty or sickness or whatever it is in their life that didn't seem fair or right.
I know, you're telling me I'm like pious, but I'm basically poor and I suffer from disease. Life in general is shit. But then again, if you live a happy, good life, then you're simply part of the matrix.
And
that's the whole point of suffering in the first place. That's why I always say that I feel bad when I am quote-unquote taking your suffering away. Your suffering teaches you a good lesson. It's the harshest lesson in the universe.
They use the explanation that it was because of their previous lives that they had lived. That's why they were being punished in this life, and they had to make up for it in this life. So somewhat similar.
So it's sort of right. Even if you go through some of this pre-birth stuff where people meeting the lords of Karma and them making a quote-unquote life plan in accordance to your higher self. I mean, your higher self, it has aspect wants and desires on a multifaceted way of thinking, like multi-dimensional. Like if you watch the movie Mr. Nobody with Jared Leto, you would know what I'm talking about. And it's merely mapping out what it needs to do to get to a certain level of awareness or the elevation of the higher spirit to what it needs to do. Like I talk about this as the coloration of the soul. Okay, so we'll talk about the coloration of the soul. I mean, this is about baby spirits. When everybody comes here, they come as a goddamn baby spirit, like in the movie Soul anyways. So, I mean, if you're a level 1 spirit, I mean, and it's your first time here, I mean, Robert Monroe talks about this too, first-timers. They're going to be fascinated by Disney Realm. So they'll only be interested in the lower chakras, so, food. But basically, the goal of a soul is the refraction of light. Look, you came in here as a white light, right? And then you got refracted into different colors, all right? And then when you come in here, you have to enjoy you probably get obsessed with the lower 3 chakras. I mean, that's why the system wants you in the lower 3 chakras. And as your awareness expands or you rise up the kundalini of the chakras or whatever, this is why they demonize the snake so that you can never escape. Because the symbol of the snake is the elevation of the chakra system, which is the climbing of the spine. I mean, this is even goddamn reference in Jacob's Ladder, right? That's what that's reference to. Or like DNA activation, right? And then when you climb up these ladders, you exit through, even this, this is masculine axis, feminine axis, exiting out through the middle, the green. You came through the green because the heart is the first thing that forms in a baby fetus. You exit out attain mastery of the purple, which is the actualization of the spirit. And then you're supposed to, once you have that, the spirit or your original white light is supposed to be touched by the actualization of the consciousness after our ego, so the spirit gets a boost. So the white here, which is the original spirit, when it was a quote-unquote baby spirit, which is the reason why I came in here in the first place, gets touched by the actualized avatar ego, and it quote-unquote becomes pink. It's not really pink, it's an ultraviolet, higher above, but the Rosicrucians, they call it pink, or the attainment of the rose. It is the color that sits above the white. The white is what you were when you first came in here, all right, at level, level 1, whatever. That's even the story of, remembering or reassembling your aspects of you. So, to me, this is I'm just repeating myself.
To the Eastern religion early on, but the Catholic Church ultimately struck that out. There are a couple of different councils that were assembled, and they decided it was too controversial because it flew in the face of the sanctity of the crucifixion, and that they didn't like that concept, so they got rid of it.
I have Christians on my channel. They understood that the crucifixion. Jesus was, he was on a crucifixion in Calgary. Calgary means the skull. This is obviously in reference to the pineal gland. This attainment through the spiraling, the exiting out of the physical body. I would expect the reason why they did it is really, the priest class do this all the time. They set up the system and control and gatekeep your soul. Every religion does this, all right? Every religion starts with saying people want to figure out how to escape and win. People figure it out, and then they realize, wait a minute, we can make a lot of money by controlling and selling people's souls to the archons and getting rewards in the material world and enjoy this material life. And that's what all of the modern religions do anyways. I don't mean, look, man, throwing out books like the Book of Enoch, the Book of Adam and Eve, are you serious? The Book of Adam and Eve is very important. The Book of Enoch is very important. The Book of Giants is very important. I don't talk a lot about Christianity, though. And, burning the Cathars, like, what? The Catholic Christians had it right. They realized that, they didn't even want to have children because they realized it was stripping a being from the astral realm and, enslaving it to the physical human body. But the physical human body, it exists for a reason. It's basically, the human body itself, the human incarnation is it's a crack machine, right? It can experience crack and it can make crack. That's all there is to it. What do you call loosh? I mean, everybody knows the creation of loosh is from the emotional extraction of energy, and the best loosh is created through not love, fear, or hate. It is loneliness, unfulfillment, separation. I mean, separation is the name of the game in this realm, anyways. So,
viewers come in is we took this.
I mean, that's why I have this channel, sort of as a support group, whatever, for people who are into this. So,
project. I was one of the remote viewers who worked the project blind. There were 3 other remote viewers who also did the same. And by blind, all I really simply mean is that when I ran the actual project, I did not know what the target was. So there's a project manager who sends out to the different viewers just a randomly generated number. They set it up in a certain way so that they assign this concept of moksha with that number. And then when we sit down to do the remote viewing work, our unconscious mind has no problem tracing that number back to the associated project, which is moksha. So it's a way that allows me as a viewer and any other viewer when operating blind to, since I don't know what it is, I'm remote viewing, all my biases or information that I might have read about or books.
Okay, that's actually pretty smart. So they have a arbitrary number assigned where the master or the project manager, whatever, basically associates something with it. So he's basically being the focal point, and they are doing the dirty work. Okay, that's pretty smart.
About the topic, it keeps it all out because I have no idea what I could be remote viewing. So it's a way of kind of taking a step back and keeping the data a little bit more clean as opposed to running something front loaded. And so it's one of the fairly standard remote viewing protocols, is that you really want to run projects blind whenever you can, to kind of secure the integrity of the information. It also makes it all the more fascinating when very, very specific information relevant to the topic comes out of the work, because the viewers had no idea what they were remote viewing. But when the viewers get back this concept of reincarnation in their work directly in a blind session, well, you know that you're on topic and you're on target. I'm going to go a bit over the information. I'm going to start from the top. I'm going to start from describing what the viewers, this is referred to as a group summary. So I'm taking the work that is agreed upon across the session work for the most part, and then describing first the site was the first information that we get when describing moksha. And then there's a lot of context that came in through this project. And it's once I start getting into the information, it all makes sense because it's a very complex issue. It's not something simply straightforward, which is what the religious beliefs have, I suppose, perpetuated in the past.
That is true. It's a lot more nuanced than you think.
But so first I'm going to go over the site, and then I'm going to provide answers to a couple of the contextual questions that were answered through the work that really surprised us as viewers after the fact. And it's information, this is the type of thing when we're talking about reincarnation in general, most people tend to have a hard time believing that to begin with. But if the concept of reincarnation was difficult for you to kind of stomach, this information will be far more difficult to stomach because it's unsettling. Some of this information is a little unsettling, and there's.
I know, dude. Thank God I was not born as a Christian. Like this stuff is easy to me.
There's a sense of.
Like I said, I don't understand how you guys would be aware of this or find interest in this if you were born a Christian. I mean, for me, I was born as an Easterner. I mean, this is my base religion anyways, so.
No, that couldn't. It's far out there. It's far stretched. And I think if this information wasn't attained by remote viewing by me personally, done blind, done in a very rigorous manner using a structured remote viewing technique, if multiple viewers hadn't come up with the same information describing the same mechanics, the same groups that are responsible, it would probably be even difficult for me to believe. And this is why, when remote viewers go back, they're going directly to the source. They're going directly to the underlying patterns of information that we believe make up this database or this matrix that informs physical reality. And so there's no third party, at least that we're aware of, by accessing remote viewing data. It's just the facts. And so if it wasn't, the story's pretty out there. It's pretty out there. But, just take it with a grain of salt. Obviously, use your own discernment in this. And, by the purpose of this video, the purpose of this YouTube channel, and the content that I'm producing is really just to share the information so that you can make your own mind up.
All right, finally.
So to begin with, I'm going to start with a description of the site, which is essentially what is surrounding the target before we jump down into specifics, and then also the contextual data that answers a number of different questions about moksha. When we originally described this site, it's a fence or a grid around a place. This acts as a barrier. It collects and traps people, things, or objects.
Okay, you're talking about the electric fence. I mean, this is mentioned as a tall wall or mountain, mentioned by near-death experienced people. I mean, Robin Monroe encountered this wall, and he realized that the only way to go beyond the wall is, instead of going towards the wall, go opposite of the wall. And it's like a reflection of it's like some sort of bouncing trap thing. It's like everybody knows this. I mean, this is where they get the term prison planet. It is the magical etheric barrier that traps souls here. It is the Van Allen radiation belt. I mean, everybody knows what this is. I mean, the fact that I said Van Allen radiation belt makes it a lot easier for people to contextualize of its validity. So, in reality, what was that? I mean, I've talked about this before. Who's the Queen's magician? Yeah, John Dee. John Dee, he did an Enochian channeling thing and with some angels, and then these alien beings told John Dee that the only way that humanity can escape from the prison of the physical human incarnation is to go find silicone, right? And then, that's part of the elite's plan. That's why they're so interested in silicone. Everything you use these days in electronics is silicone. So they're trying to transfer your consciousness, which your informational being, an inforg, over to a silicon-based being instead of a carbon, which is Earth-based being, to escape past the Van Allen radiation belt of the fence, so that people, or what you call humans, or the people who run this place, they want to escape this prison fence. But look, man, the people who are stuck in this fence, stuck in this wheel of Dharma, stuck in this prison planet Earth, the rest of the universe doesn't want you. I view humans as like demons or something. The way they act, or their rationality, or the inability to conceptualize their higher spirited self, or look, humans, they just act like retarded animals, right? And they're vicious and predatory and all scarcity minded base. So that's why we have this idea of idiocracy. Stupid people and violent people mate, and all the good people die. Only the good die young, like the song, okay? That's why this place, over time keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
This is actually an innocent planet that is being used in an unintended way. And this meters the flow and acts as a checkpoint and an access point for an external force. One viewer described it as similar to hocus pocus, in a way of its energetics that...
So this is an innocent planet that's being used in not its intended purpose. Not in its intended manner. This place is really a playground for souls. But Philip K. Dick talks about this. He calls it the introduction of time through the Roman Empire. There was a time where time didn't exist on this quote-unquote planet, and that's why things were stranger or more fluid or more astral. Things weren't as material as they were until the introduction of time. Time is the most dangerous weapon ever created. That's what binds the physicality of the material form, this illusion of the linearity of time, even though it's cyclical or circular in an Ouroboros manner. But there was a time where time did not exist. People call this the dream time, the no time.
The viewer wasn't familiar with, and it's occurring on a crowded planet. It's a deliberate function that acts as a cage. People have been dispersed here, and
Yeah, but I mean, I've talked about this before. This is the dumping ground of the universe for the worst criminals or baby spirits or teenage souls. All right, you can step in here, and if you step out, then you made it. But this place is a filtering process, anyways.
A form of perverted injustice is occurring. A third viewer described it as a large naturally formed object like a planet that acts as an animal pen. This is a refugee camp.
Yep, animal pen, refugee camp. I mean, it really is an animal pen. I mean, that's why the human is the bridge between an animal and a quote-unquote god. I mean, humans were created by the light beings here. I mean, this is the story of the goddamn Anunnaki from Sumerian times. I mean, humans were created as slaves to, farm out gold or loosh, okay?
Tucked away out of sight.
Yep, tucked away out of sight. I mean, we are like at the edge of the quote-unquote known universe. We're in the goddamn sticks boonies of the quote-unquote entirety of existence. All right? I mean, we keep trying to find other beings that look like us, but our frequency is so low and so dense, we can't see other frequency beings on other planets or whatever. I mean, maybe there are beings or on Mars or Venus or Jupiter or Saturn or the Pleiades or Sirius, but because they sit on a different frequency wave, from our point of view, we see nothing. All right, but it's from our point of view. We are so dense. We are just simply lower. I mean, we're probably like the lowest vibrational beings.
And a magnetic force, it stirs, agitates, and it works in a cylindrical manner, like clockwork over.
Yep, it stirs, it's cylindrical, spiral. Milky Way galaxy is a spiral galaxy. You're circling the drain. Imagine someone getting a spoon and stirring like a pot of pasta to keep it going so that it doesn't. So basically, I mean, you do that so that the pasta sauce doesn't burn and it's fresh and nice. I mean, this is the stirring production of loosh. It has to be agitated, it has to be moved, all right?
For a long expanse of time. In my session, my work described a planetary system that's extremely crowded and jammed. Ghostly voices are flooding into this place, and it's incredibly harrowing for them.
Yeah, the ghostly voices. I mean, Robin Monroe talks about this to M-Band. I mean, this is Disney realm, right? This planet is very unique. It is a goddamn carnival. Everybody is waiting in line to get in and inhabit a body. Robin Monroe talks about that there's a goddamn waiting line, and and the reason why they want it, packed in, is because just like Disney World in the real world, you make more money the more packed the park is, all right? And not only that, but it causes the problem of supply and demand. I mean, that's why, I mean, this is the problem with existence here, is this idea of scarcity in the first place. We call it the Malthusian concept. So, I mean, that's why Buckminster Fuller was so against this, because he realized if you optimize the resources upon this world, then you could destroy scarcity overnight. But then the elites would lose all control of power, because control of power is maintained through control of resources via scarcity. We have artificial scarcity to control the masses and to make your existence here more annoying, to keep you on the rat race. For what reason? Control. I mean, it is basically the reinforcement of the caste system.
It's a bone-chilling experience.
Yep.
As a viewer, when I remote viewed this, I had descriptions that it made me upset in the session. It elicited contempt for what was going on at the site. But the activity at the site was this concept of a net that's been spun. And it's an operation of catch and release on a grand...
Yeah, net that has been spun. All right, you know what I'm going to show you? What spins nets, boys? Alright, a spider spins a net upon the tracing crossing board of duality, black and white, life and death. Okay.
And scale. So there's a massive grid that exists around this planet, and it acts as a checkpoint, a waypoint or rest stop where souls are drained, and then that in turn energizes.
Yep. Robin Monroe talked about this. He saw the giant archonic Dementor being, and he thought it was, are you God? Are you God? Like an idiot? I mean, look, I mean, the thing told him that he is literally a gas station attendant, and his job is to pump out loosh, alright? And you got guys like Astro Club going in there and sucking, drinking loosh directly from Gaia or Terra. I mean, loosh is the condensed ethereal form of human suffering, right? I mean, the human incarnation form body is a vehicle for suffering to create loosh, right? This is a farm. If you think of this place as a farm, you're going to have an easy time conceptualizing the topics I'm talking about.
Something else. So very, very specific information about souls, about the clockwork nature over a long expanse of time.
Yep, clockwork nature. I mean, this is even shown in Dark City, like the clockworking thing with the strangers, right? I mean, there's a lot of movies that reference this, or the concentric circles of the 3 concentric circles of the spiral. This is reflected into Gnostic thinking also,
as well as this collecting, trapping, and then re-releasing. All this information came in. Okay, what's going on locally here? And the fact that it's the entire planet. The process...
Yeah, so they collect the soul, then they squeeze it like an orange, and then they throw that husk out. I mean, that husk, then it either gets recycled back. I mean, you have to remember the distinction between incarnation and reincarnation. You always have your quote-unquote spirit, but your avatar, your consciousness avatar that exhibits or inhabits you, that is what is thrown away and becomes a ghost. If it's not attached to a spirit, it loses its source and it wallows, right? And like in the hungry ghost realm. But a spirit itself can degrade, or once it's extracted for its loosh. I mean, there's this delusion in the New Age. Oh my God, we're on the timeless projection to circle back and increase our level of ascension, whatever. It will just naturally ascend, so we don't have to do anything. There are no consequences to our actions. We can just do a lot of bad stuff, and then we're on the pathway of ascension. No, you idiot, you are on the pathway of getting drained for every ounce of loosh that your spirit came in here. This is why I love the analogy of Disney realm. All right. You came in here with like 10 golden tickets, whatever, and like, let's say like 500 soul tokens, all right? And you're trying to get out. But these people, they're just giving their soul tokens and golden tickets away. I mean, like, where do people think that these archons come from? They come from the spirits that enter here and manifest into the physical form in the first place. And then when they sell and work out for the system, or whether it be for the good or the bad, the not milk or whatever, I mean, they can become an archon or an aeon, depending on their accumulation and cashing in the tokens at the arcade for their quote-unquote next spiritual journey, if they are still upon the wheel of Dharma trapped in Earth realm, or in general the realm of the Milky Way galaxy.
Works is that Earth is shielded by a companion object. And we're not sure if this is a physical thing. I mean, we're dealing with a type, if this is a technology, it's a type of technology that's so far beyond which...
The companion object, I mean, that's probably the goddamn moon. I mean, it should be obvious. I mean, the moon is placed there. It's a satellite in geocentric orbit. I mean, look, I mean, if you read the ancient books, I mean, that is the monitoring station for the gods to watch their petri dish, which is, the show called Earth, right? That's where they televise and monitor the whole thing. I mean, it's the moon, right? That is the companion object to Earth.
Humans can even probably comprehend it. May as well be magic. I mean, it makes sense why one viewer probably...
Yeah, I mean, magic is just technology you don't understand. This is the technology of the gods, of the light beings, leveraging astral resonance technology.
Well, he uses this word, hocus pocus. It's so far beyond his own lexicon that it may as well be magic. So whether this is a physical object or not, we're really not entirely certain. It would make sense that it's not...
I mean, dude, there's something to the goddamn moon. Like, I mean, I've seen the moon phase out. Like, it's a goddamn hologram projection over the surface layer. Like, something else is going on the moon or under the moon or in the moon. I mean, there's stories of people from the moon. I probably shouldn't say this, but I mean, historically, the Ark of the Covenant is hidden in the moon. Like, what is it? The goddamn Book of Enki? I mean, when the gods left Or, well, look, someone stashed a bunch of super weapons up in the moon, all right? And that's why they had the whole, fake moon landing. Oh, I'm going to plant my Masonic flag here. Therefore, the Freemasons, well, this is our turf. We put our little flag here. And Stanley Kubrick filmed it in some goddamn studio in, like, the Southwest, because we can't actually go there. Because, I mean, look, man, there's something going on with the moon, all right? And I think we're still being monitored by something beyond human understanding.
Not physical, but you can make a couple
Look, I'm trying not to talk about aliens here, all right?
different, I suppose, educated guesses. Maybe it exists in a phased state, a different dimension, where this object is, this companion object that creates this net. We're really not quite sure, but it's most likely because we don't have the vocabulary or the comprehension to even understand how it exists in this state. But so we're going to use words that we can understand, the mechanical aspect of it, the energetic aspect of it, the acting like a net, things like that. First viewers, it's a companion object to Earth. It's something that's powerful and magnetic, and it squeezes.
Okay, that's easy. That's the moon. I mean, how could these people not get it? In alchemy, the sun is electrical. The moon is, magnetic, electromagnetic. I mean, that is the sister companion to electricity, if you understand physics. Okay, this is obvious. Okay, this is definitely the moon.
Tightly around the globe.
Tightly around the globe. Okay, geosynchronicity over tightly around the globe, and it circles the globe and goes out in cycles, like natural energy cycles projected against the sun. Okay, look. Okay, this actually makes sense, because then that's why eclipses are important. Because if the moon is blocked by the sun, then the net is temporarily down or something. All right, this is why someone in my audience, what was it, goddamn Daddy, you went out during some eclipse thing and then ventured into the netherworld or something. I mean, okay, this makes sense. I mean, but just so that you know, I mean, this refraction of the net is to maintain the stability of the material world, or else the merging of fluidity of the spirit world would be also in the material world at the same time. Like, imagine, like right now, I mean, it's pretty normal in the cities, all right? But imagine if you saw some goddamn dragons or griffins or something, or another reality, because the fence is down temporarily. I mean, this can happen.
Another viewer describes it as a magnetic vice that is attached around a large place. It's a mechanical process that incorporates destructive chemicals.
Yeah, the moon is definitely an artificial construct.
And an individual undergoes bombardment as...
the moon is probably a part of Tiamat during the war in heaven, or whatever. I mean, I'm getting sidetracked.
They pass through this system. And the people that pass through, they feel lost. They don't have an understanding of what's going on. Kind of associated with the losing of memories would make sense.
And the moon is feminine. This is probably where the process of the drink of oblivion comes from, the processing the veil of forgetfulness, the amnesia. I mean, this actually makes sense. The moon is feminine, so people said Saturn moon matrix, so the projection in the fertility cycles of a woman against the moon. Okay, this actually makes a lot of sense to me. Okay.
But they have this desire that seems to remain consistent through them, as even though through this feeling of lost. More work described.
Yep, that is your resonance. Your, what is it? I call it the Captain Jack Sparrow compass that points to your true heart's desire. Your ascendancy, what your spirit truly wants.
That,
even if it's quote-unquote forgotten.
It's a little bit more specific. It actually gets the information point that these are souls that are being bent back towards the planet. And that the information, that the closest analogy was kind of like gravitational lensing.
Yeah, gravitational lensing, or the arcing of light, or the lenticular of the lens. I mean, this is why you should study how an eye works, or like the ordo oculis, or order the order of the eye, whatever. I mean, that's why an eye is important. So if a soul hits here and it's refracted back and just goes back down here, and then gets trapped within the ring of the M band. Okay, this actually explains the whole Robert Monroe thing of the 3 concentric circles around Earth realm, and how there's a wave processing station. All right, just so you know, there are spirits on the M band wave around the ring who don't want to come back to Earth, but they don't know how to leave, so they just sit there and process souls and just watch from afar, because they don't know what to do. So,
where if your soul is light, instead of kind of shooting off after you die off the planet, off to somewhere else in the universe, what's occurring is there's a artificial structure that is lensing or curving your light back down to Earth again. And then every time this occurs, it's constantly lensed or pulled back. It shows that this is an activity.
And that's probably the sun. I mean, the sun is where consciousness stems from anyways. This is where, in Seoul, where, the spirits were walking up along the escalator and they got zapped by the sun, where they reformed to light beings, and they get probably projected back down onto the Earth, because the Earth is what lights up. I mean, the sun is what lights up the Earth in the first place. So this is where, okay, this is making more sense.
Powering a massive rotating
And I'm sorry if I'm not explaining it right, but this is, if you understood alchemy, I mean, this makes a whole lot of sense to me.
Object that visually appears like an axle in space. It's fluctuating and absorbing energy that's created by this lensing effect. So the act of actually creating the lensing, of sending the light soul back to Earth, generates energy inside of this large structure.
And it's probably the sun. I mean, look, if you actually think of this whole place as a closed system, as a spaceship Earth, then you need to pay attention to the sun and the moon and the hidden thing, which is, it's either, I mean, it could also be in reference to the black sun, this thing that sits east of the regular sun.
And it seems to be, I mean, there's chemicals that seem to be involved, at least that's our vocabulary to describe what's going on. Something's being bombarded, there's a destructive process, which I'll get into a little bit further in the work. But there's actually a fracturing that occurs to force this light, this soul, to kind of come back down to the planet again.
Yep, the fracturing of light. Okay, and then what is it? Look, I mean, I've shown this before. It's the picture of what is it, Pink Floyd, A Dark Side of the Moon, or it's the white light going through that triangle prism thing and then gets refracted through a rainbow light. That's the rebombardment of the spirit, fracturing down into its 6 parts, so it can go through back as carbon. So
third infinite amount of times, but ultimately that's powering something else.
Yeah, it's a perfect system of Lush extraction to power.
So the second contextual part of the information that is described is, well, what is being done to the reincarnating souls? There's a fracturing that is occurring. So the mind, the remote viewing data specifically stated that the mind and body of a person is splayed and fractured. It's rendering them very confused and upset about their predicament. Something is being extracted and taken from them without them being conscientious of the occurrence.
Okay, I mean, I've actually heard about this happening too. I mean, Aline is a great example. When she died, she fell through the waters of oblivion, and she saw that church thing, and then she walked into it, and she was about to be harvested by these technical, robotic, alien, higher dimensional beings that look like Bender from Futurama. I mean, they're probably there to strip out her animus or her anima, whatever, which is the core basis of her avatar formation, which is uniquely created when a spirit powers the human incarnation body through duality, the feminine and masculine axis, and then that is what is being extracted. This unique thing that is created where the human body is merely an extraction, milking point of the spirit itself. And then thus that part is stripped out for quote-unquote Lush, and then the spirit gets refracted back as light up anyways, and it goes through the recycling process to come back down as a physical body to repeat the system again. Okay, yeah, okay. A human farm. Okay, this makes sense.
The analogy that was used in the work is that of bees in a box, or like a harvest of honey from bees, and that there's a honeycombing. This is kind of the trapping within the mesh.
Yep, the honeycombing. Yeah, that's by I call them like, well, people call them archons. I call them the Disney Realm Imagineers. These beings are more technical, robotic, right? I mean, Aline's seen them. They look like goddamn Cylon robots or Bender robots. I mean, I've seen weird things. So
that's occurring. That's going on. And
I mean, even goddamn Vat City, he saw the mechanical things that are basically acting as the pillar points of this whole farm itself, when it sent the distress signal of the sirens because a spirit was trying to escape, right?
And then there's a third party that
I've
comes
seen the same goddamn thing now that I think about it, the three Dementor things, okay.
in, extracts honey out of this box, this bee box, takes it for some other purpose, and then puts the bees back into the box.
Yep.
And then that's a very close analogy that matches what is going on here with souls. And
Yeah, I mean, you're getting your soul ripped apart for its louche core, right? Then getting thrown away.
another viewer described it as harvesting. There's a harvest that occurs when a soul goes up and then is refracted back down. More of the remote viewing work describes that...
Actually, you know, now that I think about it, this is actually pretty horrific, right? But I'm so... Look, I remember when I was like 20... I was either 20 to 21 or something. All right, look, like I got visited by these goddamn higher dimensional, super dimensional, archonic beings as Dementors, and they ripped apart my soul every goddamn day. It was like 3 to 5 times a week, and then it was like this weird ass sound, and it was like my soul was being tracked, or my magical etheric body is basically being extracted from my physical body. It was getting constantly ripped apart and extracted, ripped apart and extracted, ripped apart and extracted. I mean, even Octalez talks about this, where he's talked about his soul being ripped apart by these beings also. And when he made the video about the soul trap, same thing. I mean, I've experienced the same thing.
There is... The whole circumstance itself is referred to as toxic. The number of souls, the amount of individuals that are reincarnating on this wheel is that creates an instability that is required for this alchemical process. Is that without this volatile planet, without volatile souls,
A volatile planet, the spinning of the wheel, I'm a spin, which is done by desire, which is why I always tell people you need to kill your desire. When you quote-unquote reach enlightenment, nothing stimulates you and you pretty much feel nothing, which is actually a good thing. If not, you would be part of the wheel spinning.
without creating this certain type of scenario where someone's taken and thrown back and you have no memory, it wouldn't produce what is desired by this third party. The crowded state of Earth and the number of souls here
Yeah, the louche must flow.
is required to
No one wants a stagnant louche, right?
create an optimal environment to extract what's desired. The confusion and anger caused by the confinement feeds into this process.
Yeah, that's true. This is the cacophony of souls. I mean, Robert Monroe talks about the unique sound that this place makes. I mean, in reference to the story, I mean, of AA and BB, it was about New York City. This wailing desire. I call it the Song of the Siren. It is literally the movie Soul by Disney Pixar. Okay.
And an aspect of the individual's mind or their soul, the intelligence itself, again, it's using our language, may not be literal, it may be more metaphorical, but is that the intelligence or the mind of the soul is being fed on by an external parasitic force. And there are drawings of this in the remote viewing work that were not particularly pleasant. They're slightly grotesque. And when the descriptions of this
Yeah, it's a good thing Aline got away. If you watch my birthday special, Aline went through this. Right? She was on a goddamn slaughtering house of this soul extraction processing facility. I mean, like, people don't like hearing that what gets, extracted, what gets carved out or fed or reconverted into louche is your quote-unquote current form avatar. For example, the person talking right now is me, which is Kevin, this dude bro. So imagine the dude bro getting carved out, and what would still remain would be the higher self, pink elephant. I mean, this is why I create this distinction between the higher self and the avatar consciousness, me, so I can better categorize of what is necessary to do for the actualization of my spirit in relationship with my consciousness ego. Because I'm not gonna let my a dude bro me get fed on by some archons. That's kind of messed up. So,
type of thing that was doing this process.
I mean, people should realize your avatar dude bro, like for me, my avatar dude bro of human avatar is merely a translation device for the higher spirit talking to you in human language form. So, I mean, that's why I can dumb down my language, but I try not to use words that are too big. So,
it was that were used to associate as it was something that's warped, sadistic, and twisted. That's actually doing this process.
Yeah. The predator mind.
The third contextual information that was reached through this project is it answered, how did this come about? And how did this scenario even begin in the first place? How was it allowed? You think of if, say there are forces that are beyond the planet that have the ability to affect what's going on here. How could they have let this happen? How unjust is the universe, or is it all just unjust? And the information was in the remote viewing data that hinted at and described what actually occurred that allowed this to manifest. What is
there's still 20 minutes. I gotta stop talking.
Described is that historically, in the past, is that the planet was viewed with extreme envy by an external force, and
yep, this external force would have been the Anunnaki. They saw this place as the realm of Ea. They were scouting out another world because their world was dying, because their sun was going out, right? I mean, our sun's probably going to go out sooner than we think, all right? I mean, that's why the elites are getting ready. I mean, same story repeats over and over. This is like this force, this empire, you call it the Roman Empire, whatever you want to call it, Babylonian, Roman, what is it, British Empire, American Empire, this thing, this astral empire keeps shifting, right?
That there existed a time here where reincarnation did not exist.
Yep, that's true. That'd be during the Golden Age. People could simply walk into the astral realm or just quit the material world if they felt like it. Okay.
Where there was life here, but when these individuals or when life forms died here, they weren't trapped here. They were able to leave. But the planet itself was viewed with...
Okay, that is true, but they couldn't also... But there's a caveat to this. They couldn't level up their soul as much as you could right now. So, I mean, that's why I always talk about this idea of the circling of the yin-yang axis, where it is the easiest point to, attain enlightenment, because we are in the darkest period, but then light is the most focused period. So, I mean, we live in a goddamn information age. Anybody can, reach my level if they really wanted to. If you have this extreme retard focus of desire. So,
a significant amount of envy by this outside force.
Yep.
And what occurred, we simply describe as a massive war.
Yep, this would be the war in heaven.
There were massive explosions.
I mean, this is even talk about the ascensionist cults, this idea of the transfiguration of this quote-unquote 5D world into its 3D material lesser form through loss of conquest. This is the same storyline in goddamn Mortal Kombat, alright? There's Mortal Kombat, there are Earth's Defenders versus Outworld, and Outworld won, which is why this place is of suffering and carnage.
There was a huge force that was met with resistance in this particular place in the universe, and the fate of a planet was decided. Ideas of destiny, of massive war that occurred place, battle scars on the surface of the Earth, things like that.
And, yeah, dude, this goes back to goddamn Anunnaki times, or... I mean, everybody knows this, right? You guys watch Ancient Aliens, the Flying Vimana shit, the Vedic Wars, what's that book, the Mahabharata? Whatever, I can't talk right now.
But ultimately, it came to a conclusion. The period of time, or the expanse of time, we're really uncertain of as far as what the remote viewing data is saying. But ultimately, at the end, an armistice resolution was reached. And then there was an agreement made that...
Yeah, this probably would have been the Silver Age. So
both opposing sides...
This is literally the Lemurian War.
For a period of time, at least, that there would be a truce. However, those that wanted to protect this planet, to prevent the group that looked at this place with envy, lost. They were unable to prevent the outside force.
Yeah, I mean, the Not-Nook won, but this might be more of a cyclical turning of the wheel anyways, because if you understood that we are in the Kali Yuga, but we're actually warping into Dwapara Yuga. So the shifting of the axis point at which, we are, where our positioning is in the Milky Way, is circling out of material degeneracy. I mean, the material degeneracy period of the Kali Yuga would have been like World War One. I mean, that was horrific. World War Two, that was horrific. So we're cycling out into the quote-unquote New Age, Age of Aquarius, the Dwapara Yuga. Ooh. I mean, that's why the power is waning. That's why we have this idea of Saturn being in charge, and the rulers of this current period, they're going to eat each other over, the game board. They're playing for all the marbles, which is technocracy, the technotronic era.
And there was a sense of something was given up. And what was given up was, part of what was given up in this massive war was Earth. And so this is why we think that it was a much larger conflict that just had to do with this even solar system. And there was
this is a multi-dimensional world, multi-dimensional war. So
treaty that was signed, and it was like, okay, well, we'll give you this, but you can't touch any of this other stuff over here.
Dude, you'd be surprised. I mean, this is literally, look, I linked the Ascension wiki earlier. I mean, this is all Ascension wiki stuff. So,
and there's an agreement. Part of that agreement, part of that signage, if you will, on that treaty was they signed over their protection or whatever it was, that their right to keep Earth the way it had been previously to the way we know it now. They signed it over to, okay, you can take Earth, to this outside party that looked upon it with envy. But ultimately,
yeah, this is true, victory by conquest, but that doesn't mean that they are your kings. I mean, they are your wardens. And there's a big difference. And this is like the book Custodians. These are people who are custodians of the earth. They still have mandates to run the wheel of Dharma as it's intended upon its original purpose. But they do it in this weird, twisted way where whatever they tell you to do, you think you should do the opposite or whatever. I mean, look, man, they tell you to your face, as far as I'm concerned. They're following all the rules. You don't believe me? I mean, look, that's why I remember before I was analyzing The Masked Singer the whole time. Like, everything they do, they tell you to your face. They telegraph it way ahead of time. It is this form of cosmic karma that they are aware of, and the average, average dummy is not aware of. Or there are some people who disregard the idea of karma entirely. All right, look, man, I follow these rules because I look at what the elites do. And whatever the elites do, I'll do, all right? Because they probably know something, all right?
The reason it came about was conquest.
That's why I act like a goddamn weirdo with the rules.
Is that there was conquest by an external third party that came in through domination, brought about what exists here today.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the idea of the Roman Empire. Not necessarily conquest, but restructuring through order. I mean, so...
The fourth piece of contextual information that the project of Moksha was able to describe was, how does one achieve moksha? And while this specific aspect was not something we went
Sweet, this is how to escape Disneyland.
Too deep into, even though, moksha is the liberation from this. A lot of because of the way that a topical remote viewing search is set up is it tries to get as much information or surrounding the idea. And so we could have just completely focused directly on, okay, well, how does one achieve moksha? But we got a lot more information than just that. But the information we did get, it shows a couple different things. First of all, it shows that upon death, that the particles, we're using our vocabulary that the viewers have, whether it's actually this, it may be something else, it's the closest in the vocabulary that we can use to describe it, is that particles like cosmic dust or dark matter, something strange, a strange type of particle that we don't have a description for, becomes charged and creates an emission.
Ooh, loose emission. This isn't necessarily, upon death, this is mentioned in the Tibetan Book of the Dead. But it's like white people, look, I don't know how to say this, but white people just don't understand this idea of feminine axis and masculine axis. I say it all the time. It's the sapphire and the ruby. In the Tibetan Book of the Dead, they tell you straight to your face. I don't understand why white people don't get it. It's the Wizard of Oz storyline. What is it? The sapphire and the ruby leave through the emerald, the heart, and then it goes through the spiral of the mastery of the purple. All right, this is where the harvesting happens. This is the point of death, There's a reason why in Wizard of Oz it's ruby slippers, and she has a blue bow on top of her head, and then the Glenda, the Good Witch, is doing a spiral with the star. Okay.
Launched out of the individual very, very quickly. Like,
yeah, this is the shooting of the soul that exits upon death. This is the whatever. I've talked ad nauseum about this. This is how your magical etheric body escapes. This has happened to a lot of people in near-death experiences also, where they're shot out of their body and they're floating like 6 feet above them.
A cannonball out of a cannon,
yep.
Or a bullet out of a gun. And this occurs from the center of the individual's being, the central nervous. So it comes out of the central nervous system.
Okay, the central nervous system, that is the pineal gland. So this is very classical. So the two parts of you, your masculine and feminine axis, from the lower chakra. All right, Jesus Christ. Okay, I'll just get a goddamn diagram again. I've said this like 1,000 times. Okay, look. Masculine axis. This is the ruby slippers. Feminine axis, which is blue. Blue is feminine. The blue bow, oh my god. They shoot up and meet at the middle. Oh my god, this is Emerald City. Emerald City. This is also answering someone else's questions. Okay, then shoots out. Oh my god, then the magical etheric spirit body is here. Oh my god, it's floating outside of the physical body because it shot through the pineal, the spiral. Okay. This is what happens when you have a NDE or OOBE anyways. If you know the exact process, you can literally do this at will. So, okay, okay.
Another remote viewing data you actually can see this is that if you do an event recreation in remote viewing and you do the exact moment of death, and across the board in almost all of those remote viewing sessions, you see a spiral, something is spiraling right out of the top of the head of the individual.
Yep, a spiral mystery. It spirals not only through the pineal, but it creates like this field of a spiral. That's why everybody's obsessed with the spiral mysteries anyways. If you're not aware of the spiral mysteries, that is... dude, I don't know if I have the golden ratio on here. Hold on. I should. Where the hell is the golden ratio? Chemical table, symbols, white spaceman from white Buddha spaceman from China. Let's see, do I not have the goddamn? That's handsome. Okay, look, I don't have the golden ratio. The golden ratio is 1.61. It is a spiraling like upon a seashell. That's what everyone's talking about. And if you superposition it upon its double, it's 3222.
In their internal system, and when you look at that, a massive amount of energy is being expulsed.
Yep. Okay, look, I'll say it again. The human incarnation form, the human form itself, is the milking device for the spirit.
And what's being described in this session is that is essentially what the soul is. That is the release of the intelligence of the mind from.
Yeah, that is the release of the magical etheric body, the psyche of the mind, and it's light being formed, which is escaping from its earthly water prison, right?
From the body,
which is the human physical body.
The physical. And it's being sent to a place that is described as a tangled mess or a super highway for the soul. But
that is the escalator scene in the movie Soul, right? The escalator up to the white light.
As the previous contextual information was showing, is that there is a mechanical object around Earth that prevents a soul from reaching this highway. It seems like if you're able to reach the superhighway, you can go pretty much anywhere you want.
Oh, okay. This is a different highway. This is the I believe that the scientific term for this would be the Birkeland currents that runs out. This is a superhighway that runs out through the entirety of the galaxy and the universe. Period. This is mentioned by Robin Monroe, where he follows this astral highway and can take him anywhere in the quote-unquote known existence of the universe. Okay, so this is different. There was a time where the planets were connected and this galaxy was connected to other galaxies, whatever, but now it's cut off, it's isolated into a carnival, into a Disney Realm carnival theme park, Loosh production Willy Wonka factory.
Moksha gives you access to this superhighway, and where those lead, your guess is as good as anyone else's, I suppose, at this point. But
okay, where it leads is outside of this goddamn Milky Way nightmare. I mean, this is the Buddha realms, alright? It is the realm that sits outside of the Baba Chakra. Hold on. I should have just made copies of this image. Okay, so this is the entirety of the Milky Way galaxy. Okay, yeah. This is the outside of the realms. Okay. I mean, I should have grabbed a better picture. I mean, to me, it's not that big of a deal.
For this to work properly, to actually achieve moksha, is that...
I mean, just so that you know, I mean, people say that no one knows what's out there, or no one has ever made it back, or there's very little information. Look, man, I got first-hand experience through my Yoda Master of beings outside of this nightmare wheel of Dharma telling you how to escape. And escaping is the realization that we are separated here. We need to go back, right, back home.
The position and the angle with which you exit your body is very, very important.
Yep, it is very important. I highly recommend the book, The Emerald Tablets of Thoth. There is the angularity of escape. I mean, I've talked about this all the time. I mean, hold on, this is the... okay, we have to look at the alchemical table. Okay. I mean, you guys really should memorize the I symbol, by the way. I mean, that's one of the most important symbols. Okay, the angularity, this would be the quintessence. So we gotta pay attention. Whatever, I can't zoom in. God damn it. Look, imagine a circle, a triangle, a square, right? A square is the prism, that is the cube. The circle is neutral, but that is upon the spiral anyways. And then, you know, the triangle, equilateral triangle, is the good angle. I mean, this is a generality, but the angle of sorrows is always, the angle of sadness or sorrows is always the square, the cube. So.
And the concept of in the work is that it brought up the idea of how the Egyptians used to evoke an out-of-body experience, and how the angle with which the body was actually even laying was considered important to the Egyptians. And the remote viewing work, it described that this 45-degree angle.
Okay, hold on, I got technical difficulties. Okay, but I will talk about the angles, because this is pretty important. Tweet my avatar thingy. Oh, hold on. Alright, we're back in business, boys. Back to Bunny Owl. Okay, this is important. It's about angularity.
Was a key element, and so it's as the body dies.
Yep, even Robert Monroe talks about this. He talks about, you know, he calls it the slipping out. They're turning over the body, and the magical theory body slips out. I mean, Robert Monroe does this. I mean, Journeys Out of the Body, you should read it. It is 45 because the angle degrees of sorrow is 90 degrees. So the middle point between angles of sorrows is 45 degrees. I mean, this also could be a guesstimation. You could also project that out as 40 to 42, which is the angularity of the arcing of the light anyways, which is the angle of the rainbow. So, I mean, that's why 42 is also important. But it's a generality, so anywhere from 40 to 45. So that is the sweet spot.
The soul needs to exit at a correct angle, lest it be trapped within the system again.
Yeah, dude, just avoid squares, right? I mean, Thoth talks about this. He specifically mentions, you know, going and avoiding these angles. This is when you reach your ethereal crystalline being. So that's why I highly recommend my reading by my Yoda Master, Emerald Tablets of Thoth, both readings, if you care about this.
And then is refracted back and then lensed back again into another body. Second piece of information that was obtained on how one achieves moksha is that it shows it as a blissful moment, but that an unseen actor unfolds something like a safety rope here. And there's a mechanism, the mechanism or the device that has held this group of people hostage in a cell is, again, it's describing this broken record where they've skipped again and again and again, is that there's something like a safety rope that if you exit at a right angle, is that there's a group waiting for you to help you the rest of the way out.
Yep, the right angles, and specifically, it's talking about, God, that symbol. the palm of protection. It's that upside down palm and there's an eye in the middle. I mean, that's also telling you the direction in the stars if you care about using a star map to escape. It's an upside down hand with an eye in the middle. That's pointing out the direction in the astronomy. If you're talking about just angularity of the safety coordinate where you escape this wheel of Dharma, then yeah, that's probably the arcing light of 42, or it is the 45. I mean, it's like one of those. I mean, it also could be 60, but as long as you're avoiding 90 degrees, that is the key. All right.
I would assume, at least we would assume, that it's probably the group that used to be in charge of this particular space or in charge of this environment around Earth.
Yep, that would be the Buddhas in Buddhism. Okay, the people who were awakened and they realized this place as the great test, and they passed the test, and then they escaped samsara, they escaped the wheel of Dharma. Okay.
As far as death is concerned, but then had to give it up for what they deemed a greater good during the treaty or the armistice. And so, but they're there that if you can meet them.
Yeah, the greater good is the argument by the dark side. Basically, the dark side made an argument that you can't hold these spirits back. If they want to come and damn their souls for astral crack, then they should be able to make the choice to do it. In exchange, they can level up their soul beyond imagination here. But then people get stuck here. And sometimes, if they've been here too long, they get stuck as literally ghosts in the M-band wave of the planet holding, prison planet, or they get, taken down into the form of an animal. Like, I don't know why anyone would want to go through the green light and reincarnate as an animal. You're basically like getting very close to like losing and becoming the animation consciousness of like a rock. I mean, whatever. So
At a certain point, they can help you out the rest of the way. The energetics leaving the body, though, is that there's a great deal of fear that's.
Yeah, see, I mean, people can pull you out of the wheel of Dharma, all right? I mean, that's why I have no problem accepting help or helping others. I mean, I don't mind anymore. Before, I was more, quote-unquote selfish, where I only cared about me escaping, but I don't mind helping out people on my channel, or picking stragglers along upon the SS Pink Lucy. It's not that big of a deal, especially if people are serious about bouncing from this place. But whatever.
Associated with this, again, because the
I mean, I'm gonna get flack for that because I don't know. Maybe it's other people, but I don't have a problem with this
incarnation process, because you don't have any of the memory that's associated with what's going on. It's all seemingly brand new to you, and so the fear of this seems to be something that prevents most people from ever getting that. And instead,
yeah, see, I mean, this is actually a devious trick. I mean, the reason why they wipe your memory is, imagine going to Disney World, right? It's your first time, you love it, you're gonna visit everywhere, you're gonna ride the teacups, you're gonna get turkey legs, you're gonna go to the arcade, you're gonna go to Space Mountain, you're gonna do all this crazy stuff. What happens when you're there for like, let's say 1 day? You're gonna start getting bored. What happens when you're there for 10 days? You're gonna start getting more bored. So at the end of the day cycle, which is your life cycle, someone asks you, wouldn't it be nice to experience Disney Realm all over again, and you're filled with surprises, and you didn't know where Space Mountain was, or you didn't know that there was a teacups ride, or you didn't know you could get a private reservation in a Cinderella's castle? Huh? That's why we should wipe your memory, huh? Don't you want to experience Disney Realm at a fresh start again? And like, everybody's goddamn dumb. Their default setting answer is yes. This is what we talk about, amnesia, the drink of oblivion. You can do anamnesia, the Platonic idea of unforgetting, or remembering your spirit. I mean, look, there's ways to get around this.
They get trapped up into the system or the device, that there'll be more work. I'm laterally thinking here, but I don't want to get too off topic.
Yeah, dude, we're in some sort of holographic matrix system, and in our projections that we think is the physical reality is merely based on our sensory perceptions being interpreted through atoms. I mean, really, if you understood what this place is some kind of very dense hologram, all right? Like, people don't understand this idea that we're in some sort of Sims Matrix simulation existence hologram.
YouTube video, which I'm going to discuss, is the most significant remote viewing target. And it's going to talk a little bit about this because it's very, very important. And it has to do with not going into the light when you die. But I'm not going to go too far down that road.
Boo, boo, he never made a part 2. Boo. This guy deleted everything right after. Boo. What a chicken.
But it seems that because of the fear from when...
Yeah, as for the white light, I mean, every secret society tells you don't go into the white light. I mean, the white light, even in Tibetan Book of the Dead, is a reference to the soft white light, the feminine white light, which is basically through this device. I mean, it depends. A soft white light, I mean, that would be the silver light, so that'd be the feminine access through a woman's womb anyways. Yeah. This is literally the scenario of how not to come back here in the Tibetan Book of the Dead. I mean, the Tibetan Book of the Dead is great. I mean, it tells you how to control your incarnation if you want to, quote unquote, come back here on any, time period or continent or to a wealthy family, whatever, if you know how. But for the record, I mean, this is why you avoid the soft white light. So there's some sort of relationship structures between, the sun, the moon, the black sun, Saturn. So, I mean, you should be very aware of alchemy if you want to know what I'm talking about.
You die, and needing to exit at a certain angle to find that kind of safety rope where someone's there waiting for you to help you get the rest of the way out prevents most people from actually reaching it.
Yep.
The end of this procedure is something, the way we describe it is, it's like you've had a vice on your head for a very, very long period of time. And this vice has gone all the way down into your brain, into your mind. There's cords and cables. You didn't even realize that was occurring.
Yeah, I mean, this vice that's upon you is the brain, the governor. The brain's bisected into two parts for duality, separation of the masculine and feminine axis of logic and emotion. And then it gets bisected further down through your chakra points, which is in correlation relationship through your vital organs, and which is the whole point of a quote-unquote secret society, is to rise through the spine. Spine is 32 parts. That's why you're a master mason at 32, and then at 33 you become an honorary, because that is the point. And from once you climb up through that to the parts of the brain has 13 parts. And then, I mean, if you understand the symbology of the ratios between the symbol of the Eye of Horus, that is merely a mathematical symbology in relationship to the pointing through the pineal gland, which is why the Eye of Horus is a venerated symbol. Okay, that makes sense.
Created this environment for you to repeat these lives over and over again. Yep. And that the freedom from moksha is this device is being ripped off and taken off the top of your head. And so, the closest analogy to something like that is you could look at the movie The Matrix when Neo wakes up and all the cords are pulled out of his back. That's what we describe when you obtain moksha.
And the vice itself is the human avatar. I always tell people you need to disassociate with the idea of the human avatar in the first place to attain moksha, which is why I also tell people you need to pick an astral name to disassociate from the human avatar name that you're given in the first place for a separation, so that you're not vice-gripped by the device, which is a milking machine for Lush. So,
in this essence, in the human vocabulary, what is occurring? And the drawing is something in your head is being ripped off and is being pulled off violently. That's kept you here in the first place. Ultimately, though, It just seems the key aspects is the angle with which you exit the body is very important. Finding the rope of those who help you out the rest of the way seems to be important.
Look, this is very important. You listen to him. He's actually right. The angle is very important. So the angle is probably 42, which is the arcing light of the rainbow, which you came in here and got recondensed anyways, or 45 because it is the natural middle point between a right angle, which is the angle of sorrows. You can find that chord. I mean, look, man, I don't know why people would throw away a freeway out, all right? Like, if there's a goddamn safety net cord, like in the movie The Nines, he was wrapping a green cord around his wrist, okay? the movie in the beginning of the 9s, that's why the cord was there in the first place. The cord itself being wrapped around in green through the heart chakra is a symbol upon his hand. In Norse mythology, it is your sacred armband. Okay?
But then also the fear of the entire situation seems to be kind of a condemning factor that...
Yeah, the fear is the problem. I mean, a lot of people get installed with fear-based programming of what death is. Look, man, like, I am looking forward to it, right? Look, man, I cannot wait to get out. Thank God I was born in an Eastern religion where we view life as our hell sentence and death is our real graduation party. Which is why when we have funerals, it's really a 3-day eating party. But white people, you guys just mourn and cry and do this terrible shit, which scares the soul as it lingers connected to its body still for up to 10 days. So
because of that fear, because of that unknown, souls tend to go into a place that leads them back here in another life, which is something I'll talk about in a future video that we kind of got more information on.
Well, he never talked about that. Okay, look, this is basically when you die in fear, what kicks in is your religious programming. So what'll kick in is, oh my God, you see your church like Aline. Oh my God, you see the angels. Oh my God, you see the astral club. I mean, come on, man, because you're in fear, so you don't know what to do. So most people will just go along with the programming, right? With me, I know exactly what I'm doing, baby. Right? I read Tibetan Book of the Dead. Right? You just gotta click your heels and whoop, like think of a thought, a point of the angularity of the golden ratio against the spiral. This is why they demonized that symbol, which means temple in Asian cultures, which the Germans stole, so that you have an automatic negative feeling against the spiral. Right? That symbol, which I can't even say it was a swastika, but the German one is inverted. But if you look at what it is, it's the spiraling. I mean, that is the oldest religious symbol. It is the most important symbol. Like, for me, it is the most holy symbol in my culture. So, I mean, look, I'm good, right? I have no demonization factor against the spiral symbol. But for white people, Westerners, you guys got that programmed deep hardcore into you because of World War II, right? Like, there's a lot of sinister stuff being done to you guys on a deep subconscious level. Like, thank God my native language is not English, all right? It was Khmer, which is a form of Sanskrit Pali, and my symbolism is correct, right? It goes back to Atlantis.
Remote viewing project. So the next bit of contextual information that we were able to obtain with the project is it was to answer why was the system created in the first place. And
this place was created as a power leveling system for souls. All right, this is a goddamn theater, like a goddamn carnival, Disney realm. It's here to entertain you, astral crack.
This remote viewing data points to the system on Earth, and that it's just one tiny component in a much larger system.
The Bhava chakra. They call it the 6 realms. What is it? The human realm, God's realm, demigod's realm, the hungry ghost realm, animal realm, and hell realm. So, I mean, that is projected against the Milky Way galaxy.
It's minuscule. It's a much, much larger operation.
Yeah, the Earth solar system is like in the boonies. Right? We're stuck on the outer hands of the spiral galaxy anyways. I mean, the closer you get to the center, the more perfected light being you get. Oh my God.
And it describes that we are part of a funnel, and it's a slough.
Yep, the funnel circling the drain upon the Milky Way galaxy. He who sits at the Milky Way galaxy is my boy Jabulon. All right.
Or a state of moral degradation or spiritual dejection in a manner.
Yep.
And that the system encircles us, and that its proponents have cast a wide net, not just here on this planet.
It's a wide net everywhere. Even in the astral realm, the dangers in the astral realm are just as bad as the dangers here in the astral realm. Everybody, look, in the astral realm, like the higher realms, everybody's a goddamn super Karen, all right? Everybody's stabbing each other in the back. Everyone's got the neighborhood watch on each other, making sure everyone behaves. I mean, every realm has its problems if you're in this, Wheel of Dharma, Milky Way galaxy thing. And just because you're in the higher realms doesn't mean you get to stay there. I mean, In higher realms, some guy like the Astral Club could come up to you and say, "Hey, your daughter needs you down there on Earth. She could lose that baby because she's gonna go. She's back on drugs, even though she's not, because I'm a liar. I guess I gotta go back down to Earth, even though I was happy chilling out here in heaven. No, I mean, that's how that shit works. In Hell realms, it's more of an automatic dejection process, anyways, because you're gaining karma by purging out your suffering. Okay.
The advocates, or the torchbearers of this system, whether or not it's exactly these things, against the viewer's vocabulary, I really have to stress this. So it's like this, but those who advocate and perpetuate this system, the closest vocabulary in the viewer's own words is that these things are like demons. And so they're not real wonderful things. Again, the previous work of
yeah, they're archons, or perfected light beings. So archons is merely, the word archon means the angle of power. So, I mean, this goes back to even Zoroastrian. Archon versus Aeon. Aeons would be the feminine axis, like the angels. That's why I say there's a distinction between the angels of the abyss and the angels of oblivion. So, two sides of the same coin working for Big Daddy Spider.
What's feeding on the intelligence during this extraction process that then fractures the individual, the soul, and then sends them back. It's something parasitic, something that's twisted and warped. Yes, the work describes that they have put man in this cage, the mind in this cage, and that wars of men, anarchy, destruction, societal overthrows.
Oh, I gotta make a quick clarification. The word anarchy means to be without rule, without the archons. That is what you're supposed to strive for. It is order through this structure of the empire that creates this suffering in the first place. So I do gotta make that distinction. Like, you should strive for anarchy. Anarchy means without rulers.
Cyclical revolutions that occur down here.
Cyclical revolutions are projected out against the stars. I mean, come on, we go through this every 19 years, all right? Blind 11's 2001. Now we're going through Voldemort disease, all right? 19 years, okay? You can even project it out even before. I mean, if you project it upon a long enough timeline, you'll see, like, Nagasaki, or you'll see like weird stuff happening. I mean, this system is very predictable, like clockwork, right?
All fuel the system that actually keeps us entrapped. And so the unstable, this goes back to and reinforces the idea of the alchemical process of this all, of the stew that's created down here, the uncertainty, the mayhem, because there's just far too many people here on this planet, is that's intended.
Yeah, it's intended for the scarcity model. Uncertainty leads to fear. I mean, this is perfect. This is absolutely correct. So,
because it creates the chaos that feeds into the system that powers it, and so when pinpointing,
it creates instability using duality to feed the system. It's like shaking a soul down. It's like a shakedown for your loosh, right? Your desires, your wants, your unfulfillment, all right? Unfulfillment and loneliness is the best way to extract the highest grade of loosh, by the way.
In the remote view.
That's why they give you the idea of dreams, like the American dream. Oh my God.
Doing work.
Well, they rigged the system, and it's perfect.
The energetic activity that's occurring when a soul dies, it gets caught up in the system and then is sent back. It appears that a part of them is chipped off and then carried off somewhere else. And so,
this is the fracturing, horcruxing of the soul.
So it's extracted again. This is the honey that's then taken from the bees. And
that's a piece of your soul being eaten by the Kamamara, the demiurge. Like a lot of these New Agers say, how can we lose a piece of ourselves? Look, man, I hate to blast this idiot again, Tony from Quantum of Conscience, even though I said I want to talk about Quantum of Conscience. But my God, have you people not watched Og Talez when he was crying? He said that he got his soul fractured and he would lose pieces of himself, and they tried to take him out and take his avatar pieces, and his higher self, super spirited being, went from like 100% down to like 10%, and he was a weakened higher spirit, and they were trying to degrade him down to nothing so that he would become literally nothing or fade into the system itself. I mean, this is a real thing. I mean, you can lose. I'm telling you right now, you can quote unquote, I wouldn't even say this is death. I mean, this is nothingness. This is the abyss. Fate, much worse, more. Fate, that is much worse, or the oblivion.
When you view this space, you get a couple.
Actually, yeah, there's popes at this. Bad souls go to the abyss, right?
First, you get the sound, and you get voices, and it's just there's many voices that are kind of caught in this system.
Yeah, this is the M band around the planet. This would be like the hungry ghost realms. This wallowing of sorrow.
And it's a drowning out sound.
Yeah.
It's all incoherent talk. That's when you're describing this. It's a limbo state that's occurring. And these...
I mean, this was depicted in the movie What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams, where he like goes with where everyone looks like a zombie mask, standing there, yelling about the problems and like this grayness, because they're nothingness.
Aspects that are chipped off are described as ghosts, so chipped off of the soul. They're described as ghosts, and they're shells of what they used to be. These are aspects of the soul that have been drained up and used, and an overwhelming melancholy and sadness is associated with these remnants.
Yeah, melancholy and sadness. This is like in the movie Poltergeist, where they're after Carol Ann's light. Yeah, this is literally goddamn Poltergeist. Remember where the psychic, where they want Caroline's light because they're no longer attached to their spirit, so they wade out into the darkness of nothingness, and they wallow as like a group horde, like a spirit zombie horde. All right.
This is what's split apart and fractured off when the soul becomes enslaved.
Yep.
They're bundled up like a collection of twigs, and they're used as kindling. The viewer described it as just a massive amount of injustice.
The wheel must spin. All right. The loosh must flow. All right.
Purpose why the system was created is that it
now that I'm actually thinking about this is pretty goddamn horrific.
acts as what's being chipped off every time someone reincarnates. What's being taken is being used as kindling. It's a type of fuel that feeds a different system that doesn't have anything to do with here. So we're in a way part of an engine, one tiny piece, or one engine that feeds back into a power plant.
Yeah, we're one cog in machine feeding probably goddamn like Orion or Sirius or something. I don't know. I mean it's for the center. I mean, look, it's like an empire or capital city. All right, the outskirts, which is us, is feeding towards the center of the Milky Way galaxy. We're not near the center at all.
So the purpose,
which is why our suffering is more intense, and then there's no reinforcements or help coming.
The system is...
Which is why I talk about cosmic abandonment. You are stuck here in your predicament.
It's kind of analogous to... We're on a railway system, and that railway system, which is a railway of conquest, outer expansion requires energy. It requires oil or grease to pad the railway, to continue the constant outer expansion.
Yep, Robin Monroe talked about this, where he was being assigned as the gas station attendant for the Archonic Dementor beings, and he just went along with it because he's kind of an idiot. As for this outer expansion, I mean, I've talked about this before, this secret plan for interdimensional conquest via the American way. Jesus Christ, this was mentioned in They Live. Remember the scene where they used the portal, whatever, in the basement of that building at the banquet scene, and it was like a rearticulation of light that bends it, and then they warp out into different parts of the galaxy. Dude, this is They Live.
And that without this energy would be unable to do so. And so, it needs oil to burn to travel across these large, massive expanses. But it's more than that too, because it's not just the traveling that requires the energy input, or even the conquest, but it's also what is creating a space or an environment for those that are in charge of this operation.
Yep, and who is in charge is closer to the center. This would be the timeless state.
To pop in and out anywhere they want along.
Dude, this is the reality police. This is goddamn Hat Men, alright? This is where Hat Men come from.
Along this line, along this chain. And so ultimately, though, all these roads, if you will, lead back to Rome. There's like a central.
See, all roads lead back to Rome. So if we imagined, Jesus Christ, I don't know. I'm not gonna get another picture. Look, I'm gonna draw with the mouse. Look, if we imagine the center, and this whole place is a spiral, but you map it out against a circle. Rome is in the middle. So the center of the Milky Way galaxy would be my boy Jabba the Hutt, Jabulon. And then those surrounding him would be his legion. And then their reality police can go in at any point because they're not fixed by the linearity of time or form.
That exists.
I mean, they're not just hatmen. Hatmen are lower people. I mean, they'll use whatever. I don't care what you call them. Aliens, some higher dimensional robots, whatever. They take many forms. The big boys are like these galactic-sized Dementor beings. So
in that this energy is then powering this massive system.
Yeah, the wheel must spin.
The final bit of contextual information that was collected with this remote viewing project was who's responsible. Some of the information kind of came out previously about the torchbearers, about the parasitic type of things that seem to be running it here, at least. But
that is very important. Who is responsible? I'll answer it in a bit.
What agency is responsible for this? Who are the proponents of this conquest? We describe it as like a World War II supply line. Who's the one leading the forces? And we are able to describe these individuals, where they are, and why they're essentially doing this. So I'm sure there's way more reasons than we were able to pick up or even possibly even comprehend. But simplistically, we were able to describe who these were, where they were, and the general purpose. Those that are perpetuating this system is run by what we describe as a council of organic entities. And they exist and operate this from a location that is incredibly concentrated.
Let's see, where's that goddamn picture? Yeah, I mean, this is merely a microcosm of the entirety of the whole thing. I mean, I hope you guys are enjoying this, man. I don't know if this show's good. I mean, let's drown, let's see. The Council of 13, whatever. I mean, they're merely a refraction, and then look, man, look at you gotta understand that this table is nothing, right? Below here is truncated out. This little pyramid thing, it should be 1 billion times higher. I mean, this structure is nothing. Okay, council, whatever. Look, man, I mean, what am I supposed to say? It's a goddamn Anunnaki, right? They're still running the show. Their children, through divine blood right, are the rulers. Right? Think of the crown, right? Same shit, right?
The gravity exists in such a way.
Look, look. We gotta get this clear. The gods never left, right? They pretended like they left, right? They're still running the show. Nothing's changed in thousands of years. Like my boy Bushy, and he's a direct descendant of Ramses, right? Ramses is direct descendant of these beings that came here to seed or plant civilization through conquest. So
matter exists in a state that freezes time. So you can think of it kind of as a bubble or a void zone.
Yes, the time police that sits at the center of the Milky Way galaxy, the black hole thingy, where there is no time.
Okay. A black hole that they're existing within.
Yep,
and they're creating an artificial environment, an artificial timeless environment from which to exist in, and then spread their influence out in a time reality in the universe. So essentially it's making them immortal. But they're doing this in a way that they spread throughout the universe.
I mean, this is what has caused their insanity, this immortality without the natural purging of death because of their lesser state of being upon the demiurge. They cannot purge out their neuroses, so they become insane or psychotic or sadistic. So, I mean, that's why you're supposed to go through the process of death anyways, to purge out this psychosis of intelligence, of consciousness.
Through these various gateways. And so they create these little void zones in various pockets in space, in the universe. There's one here in this specific solar system.
Yep, that's true. This is like a portal. Wait a minute, isn't that the movie, what is it, Horizon with Lawrence Fishburne? Okay, I'm trying to think what the rules are, or the secret stuff. Okay. You shall have all places in the solar system, but humans will never touch Europa of Jupiter. Is it Europa? Okay, it's either Titan of Saturn or it's Europa. But I know that there's a place, which is the waypoint station, that humans or the material physical beings must never venture to. Isn't there some goddamn 2001: A Space Odyssey, the sequel? No, that's be 2000 whatever. That's the sequel. Okay, whatever. I'm getting off track, but it's probably Europa or Titan within this solar system.
And this pocket is what allows them to pop in and out anywhere they want along this conquest or along this supply line. Is they create these pockets, but they also live within them, and so it's almost like they entered into a different dimension that doesn't have time, but they can come out anywhere they want along the supply line for it.
Yep.
Now, the council themselves, the words we use to describe them, because of the system, because they may as well be mortal, because they don't age, is that they've created a system for them within physical reality that has set themselves up as gods, lowercase g, gods. And they view themselves as such as well, compared to all the other life forms, even over the souls. They view themselves...
Yeah, this is the perfected light beings. Their form, they would be a different resonating light. They would look beautiful to stupid people, and people get fascinated by them, so...
as the gods of reality, and that...
They are the gods of the material world, that's true, though.
That is what gives them the authority to do what they do, to increase expansion, that they have some sort of right to perpetuate their authority throughout the universe.
Well, it's not necessarily the universe. This would be more through the confined limitations of the Wheel of Dharma. Their mandate, they do have a mandate to rule, but they're supposed to have a job, which is why they have to tell you everything to your face. It's echoed in all reality, in all realms. This realm is just very obvious with Hollywood and TV shows, where they have to tell you, even spiritual things.
The energy that is being funneled back to create the system is also being funneled back to them. And when we describe these beings, when we describe their nature...
It's called tributary.
It's not very positive. We describe them as, simply put, evil. As that these things are very service to self.
Yeah, so this would be these archonic beings which have mastered consciousness. Consciousness in nature, it leads to the intelligence of psychopathy. They would definitely be selfish beings for their own perfection of the light state, so that they get closer and closer to the center of the galaxy, which is where Big Daddy is there. That is the architect. So
it's about their own conquest. It's about...
I wouldn't necessarily call them evil. They would be the masculine axis of selfishness. So logicians, logical. That's why the Hat Men come from there. So
taking the energy that exists in the universe, accumulating it, and then absorbing it for their own desires.
Yep.
And to serve their own purposes. It has nothing to do with serving a greater good. It has nothing to do with bringing harmony or peace to the universe. It has to do with conquest, war, and taking the spoils back to create a larger system of control, and they act as immortal gods to this system. Now, one final thing.
That would be the Angels of the Abyss, by the way.
But
these are lesser Angels of the Abyss. There's big boys at play, like Jobulon is, the Big Daddy. So, but there's other players.
When you remote view these specific entities, and remember that these are organic life forms. So these were flesh and blood, just like you and I. But through their technology, whatever you want to call it, they created an environment for themselves that they are no longer biological. They may as well not be, because they exist in this timeless reality. With or without bodies, we're not sure. When we draw them, we describe them with eyes that are blazing white.
Blazing white eyes. Sounds familiar. They're probably some organic robotoid creations, which, do people not realize that the physical organic body is a robotic machine in comparison to their ascended, light being creations?
Remote view them, they do notice you actually looking at them, but it's rather irrelevant to them. In the session that I ran when it looked at these things, I was describing kind of the nature of this being. What can happen in remote viewing occasionally is you start in real time as you're remote viewing, describing the life form, noticing you. And so you're writing down information patterns.
Yeah, you got to be careful. I mean, even Robert Monroe talks about this. This specifically, where in the Gateway Project, he tells you how to avoid conscious beings in the astral form, but he only taught you how to deal with the lesser conscious beings, where he tells you to use the hot air balloon method and float away. But if you're dealing with intelligences or consciousness which far outclasses you, then you got a big problem. Like, I remember reading Robert Monroe. That guy got lucky a bunch of times, or he was always getting bailed out by some random hippie group, astral hippie group or something.
Of this thing describing you, describing it. It's very, very strange. And so what happens when you look at these things with remote viewing, if that happens, is, well, at least for me, what occurred, it was like a gorilla noticing a gnat. It was very dismissive. It was like, little mind. I don't have...
Well, this guy's got a little mind. That's why he tried to delete this video and remove all comments and delete all traces that he did this. Like, look, I gotta say this for personal reasons. I mean, this guy did a great disservice to all of material existence by chickening out and not doing part 2 and trying to scrub this. All right, this is very important information here.
Time for this. There's no... Why would I even...
Yeah, I mean, this guy's definitely a gnat spiritually. I mean, you see this shit and you try to scrub it. I'm like, my God.
Consider this.
I mean, he made jokes saying, "Oh, the blank IA came to me and said I had to delete it," like he was saying dismissively. Last time I checked, the blank IA recruited the best magicians and remote viewers. So,
little mind. I have much more important things, much more grand things to think about.
Where's my 80K? Where's my 80K?
So it wasn't even really an interaction. It was just like a gorilla noticing a gnat and then ignoring it afterwards. And so it simply shows, I mean, either whether it's the level of ego or whether it's the level of, I mean, the truth to the situation, that these things operate in a place and on a plane of consciousness that so far surpasses where we...
Yeah, these are basically like Cthulhu beings. Like, this guy was basically bacteria to them.
We are as humans on this physical plane. That's not even worth the time. Even think about us looking at them. That's not even a concern. But
see, this is the problem. I don't know why people think that, oh my God, I'm so sovereign. I am infinite. I am all powerful. You encounter beings like this, Cthulhu beings. Do you really think you stand a chance unless you know exactly what you're doing? And your best chance is just to bounce, all right? Bounce to the cord and get pulled up, right? Like, people got to get through this mind. I mean, people, if you've never encountered these super archonic beings, I mean, it's a problem. I mean, they do this weird hyper resonance and try to strip out your soul. I've had my soul ripped apart, or they do annoying stuff to get at you.
But you know, these are things that they used to be physical, they used to be organic beings, but through technology, through consciousness technology, they figured...
Yeah, this is elevation and perversion of consciousness. They're, I mean, this is the dark path to ascension that I talk about that leads to.
Figured out a way to set themselves up to live forever, and so they don't die.
Yeah, like Tony, he'll say, "Oh my God, they're sequential beings, and we are simultaneous beings." That's not true. Okay, every being here is simultaneous. Really, it just depends on your journey. So, I mean, whatever, man. Look, I got no problem with saying that the bad guys, you know, look, the bad guys, they have an edge up. So, because most people don't even know what I'm talking about, or care, or believe in it, anyways. Or know it to be true. Because, I mean, look, the system's done a great job of wiping out anybody who talks about this stuff.
And from that space, they have an outward expansion of conquest in the universe to perpetuate a system of control, to perpetuate a system of cages around planets that keep souls locked and trapped there, so that every time they die, they have to go back, and then there's a cutting off or a fracturing off of that soul that then is collected into like a bundle of twigs to feed the system, to power the operation. And
yeah, dude, Loosh makes the world go round.
So we're essentially, souls are being used as kindling, is being used as coal for this system. and that while there may be other reasons that the soul may decide to jump into this system, like maybe even willingly put themselves in this situation.
Everyone agreed to come in here by free will, right? You agreed to come in here, all right? You were a juvenile soul, a baby soul, and you wanted to go into Disney World. But, you know, Disney World has a very thin veneer.
It's not the soul on this planet is not one that doesn't come without extreme dangers, because it seems that every time you die, you lose.
You heard that? There's extreme danger. Stop listening to these people that say that I just throw my pinky clipping, all right? How could I ever lose a piece of my soul? I'm telling you right now that we are in a goddamn dangerous situation, which is why I call it the game of Dharma.
There's a part of you that's lost and is fractured.
Yep, horror
and so reaching moksha is a very significant and important thing. Maybe the soul originally, I'm just speculating here at this point,
moksha is really reaching nirvana in the now, in the material form, or reaching enlightenment of the Buddha. I would call it the anuxification of the soul, which is the restoration of your higher spirit itself in conjunction and pairing up with your human avatar form at the same time. So you reach this quote-unquote state of schizophrenia, really, where you're bisecting between your avatar self. Like for me, it's avatar self is Kevin, and the higher spirit itself, which is actualized in the spirit, is Pink Elephant. All right, and both parts are very aware of what's going on, and they need to work together to merge two into one to escape. All right, this is how you quote-unquote escape. I've talked about this a dozen times.
Soul, or my soul, we came here to learn something, but if you're stuck here for too long,
this is actually true. A lot of people will rip on and say, oh, it's just a learning experience. It really is a learning experience, but the problem is that what they don't tell you is if you don't pass, then you die. Not really die, you get grinded, or you get your soul enslaved. So that's much worse.
is that you become so fractured that the ultimate end of that is something that's like a ghost. It's something that's used up. It's something that has lost.
Yeah, that's a hungry ghost. These ghosts that wallow out upon the M-band around Earth that cannot, even get a physical incarnation form because there's no spirit left powering them. So they become a husk, right? And that's where we get this idea of ghost haunting or whatever. But that's only on... that's true. Just think of Carol Ann when she was being accosted by the ghost, like the group of ghosts and horde.
Lost its energetic potential. And so, based off of some other work, which I'll be sharing in the future, I believe it's very important for people in their lifetime to be thinking about this type of thing.
Yep,
be thinking about how do they attain moksha? How do they attain? First, is it in their highest good to do so right now is a very important aspect. Being able to.
See, this is why I'm confused. If he knows this, why did he delete this video? Why did he not do a part 2 to talk about getting tricked by the white light? If this is so important, well, there's something going on with this guy.
To have a dialogue with your higher self is very important.
Yep.
To is this the life where attaining moksha or pursuing it is important. But I think that knowing that there is an outside group that, while they may not be in charge of this particular space, is there and waiting for people that figure out how to exit the body at the right angle, figure out how to avoid the specific snares that exist for souls as they exit the body. This will be a topic for another remote viewing video on YouTube, which I'll talk about. That there are those outside waiting, and they're there to drop a rope down into the cage to help you the rest of the way out, if you do the first part. So that's
yeah, that's actually true. All right. That's why I don't understand the forever consciousness guy. If he saw a rope, he'd be like, I'm gonna do it through my own sovereign whatever. And look, look, if you don't know what you're doing, that is a problem. Like, I agree with everything he said. This is how accurate his remote viewing stuff is.
That's remote viewing work that's describing the freedom from the cycle of reincarnation, contextual information about why it's occurring, how it's occurring, and who's doing this. And I think it gives a little bit of perspective that there's a much larger game that's being played here.
Yep, game of Dharma, game of Dharma. We are in Disney realm. I've said this over and over and over again.
And Earth is just one tiny part of it. And we're not the center of the universe. We're just one tiny aspect on a very large board.
Yeah, Earth is probably just the teacups ride. Like Space Mountain is probably the astral realm of the God's realm.
That seems to go back.
Actually, no, that would be, oh no, Tomorrowland would be the demigod's realm.
Can be.
If you didn't figure out, Disney World is a projection of the astral realm, so.
Funneling into a system of fight, if you will, on a cosmic scale of the fight between good and evil. And our pocket of the universe is one that appears to be controlled by the negative side.
For now, we're warping into Dwapara Yuga. But then if you're on the light side, then they have their own problems, because it's, it's almost impossible to reach the state of mind you need to attain moksha on the light side, just because life is way too easy and peaceful. Like I'm telling you right now is the best time to attain nirvana, enlightenment, be a Buddha, whatever, or moksha. just because of the clown world outside, right? It's so easy to win right now. I don't know why people don't take it more seriously.
It's authority. It has its system, exerts power and control over this specific pocket in a way that keeps people entrapped here, enslaved here. And so these ideas that you...
Look, people don't want to admit it, but they choose their own slavery, right? Look, man, I never had kids. I just work a honest job, hard labor. I don't vote. I never did jury duty. I don't do dishonest things. I just try to chill out and relax.
We have read about in the past of Prison Planet seemed to fit, is that it fits
100% true. Elrond said it.
The reasons for it don't seem to...
John D knew about it.
Match up a lot of the other things that I've read about why this has occurred.
This correlates perfectly with a magical text that I've read.
Or who's doing it? The remote viewing data very clearly kind of points to that idea that souls become entrapped here, and then they are harvested here again and again like bees for honey. And until the individual figures out how to escape the system, which
to figure out and to escape in this lifetime. All right, don't put it off.
The body experience being able to...
Like, I give a lot of people coursework, or go through my Yoda's works, or go through the books I recommend. Most people watch my video at least twice or 3 times. And some people annotate it, all right? So I'm not actually worried about the people on my channel, really.
Where you exit from after death, it's a key role, and then also overcoming...
I'd have to talk about that later. That's more if I break down the Wizard of Oz. I talked about it a little bit in this breakdown.
The fear of exiting, it seems to be a key role.
Okay, so we'll do a quick review of everything I've said. Number 1, fear of death and overcoming it. Number 2, cosmic abandonment. You are trapped here upon a wheel of Dharma. Number 3, the only way to get out is through the will of power. You must have, the wanting desire to leave and recognize this place for what it is. And to do that, you need 1, purification of the spirit. You clear out your neuroses, whatever, just reduction of karma, really. Number 2, actualization of the spirit. You separate out between the avatar ego of the human, which is why you disassociate from your, legal fiction name, whatever, and then you quote-unquote pick your own name, the name that you choose, not the name that you're born with, which is the identification marker for your username avatar of your higher spirit. So there's a name for your avatar ego, which is the interfacing here. For me, it would be Kevin, and then your higher self-spirit name, which is the actualization form of the spirit, for me, would be Pink Elephant, which is symbolic upon the maintaining the mastery of the color above the rose. This is the rose in Rosicrucianism against the power of the elephant. The elephant, symbolizing as power, will stampede straight out of this realm. That's why I picked it. Okay, the liberation of the spirit. Upon death, just bounce out, not on the degrees of sorrow, or I found a ripcord and go straight to the Buddha realms, or I'll probably just do the Dorothy thing. And since I'm in the timeless state, since I'm in my higher spirit self, If people need a ride upon the SS Pinkalushi, I don't really care, man. Look, it's not that big of a deal. All right.
And then looking for that rope that's dropped down for you and really using a discerning eye, I think, in that.
Yeah, discernment. I mean, look, when you're in that state of mind, you can, quote unquote, telepathically sense things anyways. You're going to know it's me and not an Archon. All right. I'll be pink. These guys cannot pick pink anyways, because it is a higher color spectrum beyond what they can pick.
That state of,
which is only attainable by a spirit, which is why, it's venerated.
Life after death, that soul state afterwards seems to be important as well. So that'll conclude the remote viewing video on Moksha, and if you enjoyed this video, please definitely hit a like, and if you're not subscribed already,
I would hit a like, but then he deleted this video and deleted all the comments and tried to scrub this off the internet. Look, personally for me, look, dude, I don't care, dude. I already reached Moksha. I reached Nirvana a long time ago, enlightenment, whatever, a Buddha. All right, I passed the great test. Now I'm just chilling out, all right? I mean, look, I made this channel for funsies because the TN needed questions answered, and now I'm just slogging along. It's not that big of a deal, all right? But people keep getting distracted by the Matrix, all right? Like looking at the cartoon show that's outside, but some people, I mean, I just don't understand the Western mind. To me, this is stuff I knew from the beginning. It's very simple to me. I mean, that's why I will always recommend the book recommendations, like Robert Monroe's classic trilogy, Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Upanishads, The Secret Doctrine of the Rosicrucians, Jesus and the Lost Goddess. I do a lot of material to help people. Okay, so just quick update. So this is basically the end of the show. So my next schedule is I have to do Ruby Owl's personal clearing of his neuroses, so that's a private request. And then I got to do the astral charts, and I won't come back until I'm done reading the Ascension Wiki, so I don't look dumb when I talk about it, because you guys are just going to spend all day reading it. So I really do not know when I am coming back, which is why I did this Moksha breakdown. So I may be gone for a while, because I do intend to do private requests again, all right? But I hope that you guys enjoy this Moksha breakdown. I don't know if it was boring for you guys, but to me, this is pretty basic, and I did talk about a lot of things just to reaffirm it. Eventually, I do want to get through my idea of the game of Dharma and Disney Realm after I finish reading, I haven't even started, after I read Exegesias by Philip K. Dick and Morals and Dogma, which is by Albert Pike, which is just the westernization of the Rig Veda. I mean, I might also have to read the Rig Veda because of the Indo-Aryan stuff. All right, so you guys have a good night, and if you enjoy the show, whatever, let me know in the comments. I don't really know, and I'm trying to stay low, all right, because dumb stuff keeps happening. All right, you guys have a good night. Bye.